In the middle of the 23rd century, the Klingon and Romulan empires would enter into a brief-lived military alliance aimed against the United Federation of Planets. A key aspect of this alliance would be a series of technology exchanges between the two powers, aimed at bringing both militaries up to a level where they could effectively match the Federation's starfleet at a technical as well as numerical level. For the Romulans, this meant that they would receive several Klingon D7 class battlecruisers from the Empire. These ships becoming the Stormbird class in Romulan service and acting as the first ships in the Romulan Star Navy capable of matching the vessels of foreign powers in a straight fight. The Stormbirds would serve only briefly in Romulan service, the ships delivered being older models of D7 to begin with and quite hard worked by the Klingons before their transfer to boot. But they did serve as a valuable stopgap while new designs making use of Klingon technology were being prepared. Pursuant to their technological exchange agreement, the Klingon and Romulan empires would provide the other with certain aspects of technology, with the Romulan Star Empire providing the Klingons with examples of their cloaking technology, as well as detailed technical specifications and operating manuals. For their part, the Klingon Empire was to provide the Romulans with a total of 25 D7 class battlecruisers, as well as 11 D9 Gull class light cruisers. This exchange being completed by 2268, shortly after the alliance was formally signed. It would quickly become apparent to both sides that the exchange was not as beneficial as each may have desired, with the Klingons finding that the cloaks provided to them were several generations behind and had several key features removed prior to delivery. Decades of tension and conflict leading to both sides being unwilling to hand over their absolute best tech to what both realized was today's ally of convenience against a common threat, not a true long-term friend that you could trust with such secrets. For their part, the Klingons were no fools, and had provided the Romulans with their agreed-upon numbers of ships, and all seemed to have been in operational condition, though several vessels were overdue for routine maintenance and still had all computer interfaces, labels, and written materials in their original Klingon, which required significant time and effort to change over before they could enter Romulan service. Furthermore, all of the ships the Romulans received were of the older A and B variants of the D7, versions of the battlecruiser which were notorious for their lack of power due to poor reactor design and overworked EPS grids. These ships had been rendered largely obsolete in Klingon service some years earlier, with the introduction of the C version of the ship, which was a drastic improvement to the type, often considered the first truly competitive variant, capable of going toe-to-toe with the latest Federation large cruisers, such as the Constitution. The service life of the D7 in Romulan service would be short and unpopular, with the ships being utilized mainly as training vessels while a new generation of more modern ships was being developed, using the technology provided to the Romulans by the Klingons as part of their alliance and technology exchanges. That is not to say that the ships were not useful, or that they represented a downgrade to the Star Navy's combat power. Far from it, as even in its early versions the D7 was several generations ahead of the Romulan ships of the period, due to the technological limitations of the Empire. But it was, however, clear to almost everyone that as soon as the ships started arriving, that their time as the flagship class was limited, though the Romulans would use them extensively in a variety of roles while they had them. Initially, the D7s would be employed along the Federation border, where they could be used as a spearhead if and when the war with the Federation broke out, the entire purpose behind the alliance with the Klingon Empire in the first place. Then, as tensions rose with the Klingon Empire as the alliance began to crumble, some of the ships began to appear along the Klingon border, By the early 2270s, though, new designs had begun to appear in the Star Navy, and the D7's time as frontline cruisers had come to an end, sparking a long period of use as a wide variety of second-line units, as the ships were, despite being replaced by more capable units in the battle line, still faster, longer-ranged, and more modern than anything else in the Empire. The fact that the ships were also very similar to the designs in service with your chief rival once the Empire fell apart also likely impacted their brief service as frontline units. Thus, the D7 would see itself refit to serve as transports, cargo carriers, communications buoy tenders, training vessels, tankers, and a myriad of other roles over the next several decades. The ships only disappearing from the Romulan fleet in the 2340s, when the well-worn vessels remaining were brought out of service because available sources for spare parts had run out. Although not the absolute top-of-the-line battlecruiser that the Romulans were looking for, the older D7-class ships with which the Klingons transferred to the Romulan Empire still gave useful service to their adopted owners, and provided them with hands-on experience operating the latest generation of modern starships, providing them with a huge leap forward in capability, and a vital stopgap while ships far superior to them were developed, constructed, and brought into service in a very narrow time period. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you've made it this far, why not consider subscribing to the channel if you're not already. Also, there is a link to the channel's Patreon. Being a Patreon gives you several advantages, perks, I think perks is the technical term, where you are able to get videos a day early, provided my internet cooperates, which even recording this video, my internet died a bunch of times, and there's only one IP provider, or internet provider, IP provider, internet provider that's kind of a Sahara Desert. That's just desert. That's useless repetition. But anyway, yeah. In a perfect world, you'll be able to get videos a day early. Once there's more than an Patreon, I want to start doing votes on what videos are covered next, probably in a monthly level, and do some behind-the-scenes look type deals, upload artwork for the videos ahead of time, that kind of thing. If that interests you, which it probably doesn't, because, I mean, realistically, not everybody is going to join a channel's Patreon because you'd go bankrupt if you joined every Patreon for every channel that said, join my Patreon and get special perks. But the option is there should you decide my somewhat crap channel is worth your money, which I hope you do, because then I have money. So I wouldn't object. Anyway, slightly off tangent. Out of the way, that's about it for today. Again, thanks for watching. Bye.